His girlfriend came across a needle and soon she did the same. At home there were 17-year-old boys and their idea of fun is being in a gang called the Disciples, high on crack, a toting a machine gun. Church and killed everyone inside. You turn on the telly and every other story is telling you somebody died. My sister killed a baby cause she couldn't afford to feed it and sending people to the moon. In September my cousin tried reefer for the very first time. Now he's doing homes. It's June.
Shalom Aleichem, peace be on you. Yisrael Ya'el, my man. I'm glad I can't sing, man, because I'd probably be doing some dumb, stupid stuff. I wouldn't be learning the Torah, that's for sure. That's my main man, Prince. Seen him in concert. It's called Sign of the Times, and you know who that is. And why? Because today's broadcast is entitled The Sign HaOath. This is July the 30th, 2023 of the year of their Lord. HaOath, the sign, the sign. Yahweh said there's only one sign they're going to give you unrighteous people to prove to you I am who I say I am. Only one. Not all those miracles he did, only one sign. So we're continuing on our Bimilatar series in his own words. And again, this is basically what my third book is going to be about. And we on, I think this is the 35th installment. We probably have like another 15 to go. It won't be quite as long as the Torah portion series, but close. Last week, talking about this word of Yah has always meant to be for the whole world. Remember the Syrian servant who Yahweh healed. Remember the Samaritan woman at the well. Even way back in the Old Testament. Remember Naaman. Naaman dipped in the Jordan 7 times. So the Hebrew has always been the one to send this word to the Goyim, the Gentiles. It's never been meant to be exclusive for you, and we're going to show another big scripture on that. And this is what the whole thing about feeding the 4,000 was. Remember, the feeding of the 5,000 was on the western portion of the Sea of Galilee, and that was probably during one of the feast times, and that was the Hebrew side. On the east side, we had the feeding, the east side of the Galilee, we had the feeding of the 4,000. And that's the Goyim side. All right, those were the Gentile lands over there. And I told you about all the symbols that point to the Gentiles. And you can look at last week's installment to get some of the details on that. So we see that Yahweh fed the 5,000 Hebrews and then the 4,000 Gentiles on the east side of the Galilee. And then reference Acts 15, verses 1 through 21, where they had the Hebrew council. Peter and James, the son of the brother of Yahweh, the Hebrew council, when this word started going out, and they had Paul and Barnabas come up and say, hey, what's going on? Y'all teaching against the law? No. We're not teaching against the law. We're teaching the words of Yahweh HaMashiach, the proper understanding of the Torah, which is not Moshe. And they agreed and said, do not trouble the Gentiles with anything but a few things. They gave the list. Don't eat meat strangled and all that kind of thing. But they don't have to be circumcised and wear big Hebrew beards and wear seats and all this kind of stuff. They had to refrain from sexual immorality. Well, that's always been true. And it's always been true not to eat strangled up food and that kind of stuff. So this has come from the top, the very top, those who were the apostles themselves. not disciples, the apostles themselves said, do not trouble the goyim with Moshe, with things that our forefathers couldn't even bear. Remember, we got those 666 commandments in our 40 years of desert of disobedience. They did not come from Mount Sinai. In fact, the 10 commandments, which in the Torah is called the 10 words. Your King James says commandments, and all the other Bibles say commandments, but they were not commandments, they were words. The 10 words of Yahweh. And even that was not new. Moshe didn't come down from Mount Sinai teaching anything new. They already knew about the Sabbath and not murdering people and stealing and obeying your parents. It was nothing new. So what Yahweh had is the revelation of his mind to his creation was to come through a covenanted peoples. That covenant peoples are called Iberit. Abraham is the first man called a Hebrew. Abram the Hebrew, the Eber. So Yahweh says in Amos 3:2, you only have I known of all the nations on the earth. In Amos 3:2, this word known means intimacy. That means related with. You know your neighbor's wife across the street, but you don't know her like her husband knows her. You just know her. You know her name. You probably know some things about her, where she works, what she likes to do. It's a friendly, righteous relationship. But you don't know her like her husband knows her. So there's different ways of knowing, different levels of knowing. And the highest way of knowing is in the spirit, in the Ruach. Yahweh says, I know you eye to eye, face to face. You are genetically from me, the Hebrew, the Iberit. He said, I've only known you. Yahweh does not have a covenant with anyone else in the world. So no one else in the world is obligated to keep a covenant of commandments. They are commanded to keep the 10 words of Yahweh. This is what judged the whole world before this one that was flooded. He also said in Malachi 1:2, I've only loved you. See, Yahweh is pure. He does not get in bed with anyone else. He says, I've only known you, and only you have I loved. Your brother I've hated. He hated Esau. That word is Sign, and it does mean exactly what you think it means, hate. Do not try to clean it up like you go on social media and look it up and see they try to clean up this word hate. But he didn't really mean he hated him. Well, he said, I hated Esau. Look up what the Hebrew word means and see if Yahweh stuttered. He didn't stutter. He knows what he's saying. Now, and also we find in Isaiah 59:21 that Yahweh says, my word, which I've given to you, shall not depart from your mouth, or your seed's mouth, or your seed's mouth, olam. This word that I'm teaching now, that I'm sharing now, is supposed to go off through the Iberit mouth. Because we have the heart and mind to know this, because the covenant is with us. We have to teach the world, not to be taught by the world. We have to teach it in humility. This is a high calling. So you must have a relationship with Yahweh 7 days a week, not just 6, not just 1, but 7 days a week. And it has to be real. We have to take this thing seriously. There's no higher calling but then to share the words of Yahweh that comes from his heart. And we know what his heart looks like because it was displayed on an almond tree on the Mount of Olives. So the first scripture I want to go to here is Isaiah 49:6. To give you another scripture on what I just said, Isaiah 49:6. And it reads, indeed, he says, it is too small a thing that you should be my Eber, my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved ones of Israel. I will also give you as a light to the Goyim, that you should be my Shua, my salvation, to the ends of the Eretz, ends of the world, ends of the earth. So it is always, this is Yeshaya, Isaiah, you call him. this word has always meant to go to the whole world. It has never been about black Hebrew Israelites. Stop that. Stop with hating other peoples and other nations because of the melanin content of their skin or the lack thereof. Stop this. Stop with this hatred of someone who doesn't look like you. This has always meant to go to the whole world from the beginning. And why do you need to chill? That's since we're already in Yeshaya Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah 42 and 19, and it reads, talking about how we need to take the leaven out of our chest. This is Yeshaya, Isaiah 42:19. Who is blind but my Eber, my servant, or deaf as my Malach, messenger, whom I send? He sends us. Who is blind as he who is perfect, and blind as Yahweh's servant? So here you are, he's sending us, and we don't even see. We don't even see. That's why we're being taught by the Goyim, people with stammering lips, stammering tongue. Yahweh says his own peoples, his own covenant peoples that he loved are the blind ones. And this is why the 3 years Yahweh was on the earth, they didn't even know who he was, including his own disciples, handpicked by his father. Handpicked. And to this day, you're still not getting it. You're still putting Moshe over top of Yahweh. Still putting him over top of him. Since I'm in Isaiah, let me stick to that again. Isaiah 26:18. And if you weren't blind, you would get this thing. Isaiah 26:18. We have been with child. We have been in pain. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. In English terms, that means farted. You farted. We have not accomplished any deliverance in the earth, nor have the inhabitants of the world fallen. No nations have fallen to the Hebrew way of life. Whole nation just believe and follow us. Why? Because we have shown ourselves to be blind. Blind to who, what? This man I'm teaching right here, right now, Yahweh HaMashiach, who is showing you in his own words, out of his own mouth, from his own heart, from the mind of Yah, how we're supposed to live. How we're supposed to enact these commandments like the Good Samaritan did. Like he showed every day. This is why in our ministries, you out there waking up since you got your smartphone and going to try to beat the people upside their head with Moshe, which your forefathers failed in doing, and going to start hating Jews and hating the white man because you are blind if you do not heed to this word that I'm teaching right now. If not, your ministry is going to deliver wind. To be kind, to be blunt, a fart. That's all it is. That's all it is. And how did we get ourselves in that situation when we're supposed to be the head, not the tail? It's because just like a dog, we have chased our tail, and we let the tail be over us. We let the tail be above us. Let me go ahead, my brother. Jeremiah 5:26-31. Jeremiah 5:26-31.
For among my people are found wicked men. They lie in wait as one who sets snares. They set a trap. They catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so their houses are full of deceit. Therefore they have become great and grown rich. They have grown fat. They are sleek. Yes, they surpass the deeds of the wicked. They do not plead the cause of the fatherless. Yet they prosper, and the right of the needy they do not defend. Shall I not punish them for these things? Shall I not avenge myself on such a nation as this? An astonishing and horrible thing has been committed in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests rule by their own power. And my people love to have it so. But what will you do in the end?
Wow. Thanks, my man. Wow. Salted among Yahweh's peppered people are wicked men. And Yirmiyahu says we love to have it so. Let someone else lead us. And they're wicked. They do not plead the cause of the fatherless or the widow or the elderly. They are wicked men in Yisrael. And those are the ones who've been, that's why the Romans put them in charge of us in Jerusalem. Herod was an Edomite. Yahweh hates Esau. So that's who Hasatan put over us, Esau. Esau, let me say it again, in case you're the first time listening to this broadcast, is not Jews. It's not no anti-Semitic statement. Esau is an Edomite, red, ugly-looking thing, hairy, and this is who is puppeteering all of what's going on today, and has always been, even back here in the so-called Old Testament. Esau, who is a chameleon amongst Yahweh's people, who is puppeteering all the hate, all the division, all the lies, and all of the deceiving that's going to go on in this last day. This is why I love what Pastor Williams taught yesterday, saying that we need to stop wasting our time studying fake stuff, phony stuff, deceptive stuff, other things. We need to study this word, this Torah, because the better you know it, you will already be able to discern what's a deception, what's not real. And he used the example of how I think it's the FBI who studied the dollar bill, all the bills. They studied exactly how they're supposed to look. So when a counterfeit bills were made, they would know what a counterfeit bill was automatically, not by studying counterfeit bills, but by studying the real American money, studying the actual American paper money, and knowing it precisely. Then they already knew what a counterfeit money looked like. And that's what we need to do. We need to study this word. We spend too much time reading about the word instead of reading the word. And Esau knows the word. Esau knows it. You Edomite big brother, he knows it. And he is using that to rule over us in wickedness. I talked about the stammering. Let me go there. Yeshaya 28, 8 through 15. Yeshaya, Isaiah 28, 8 through 15.
They err in vision, they stumble in judgment, for all tables are full of vomit and filth. No place is clean. Whom will he teach knowledge, and whom will he make to understand the message? Those just weaned from milk? Those just drawn from the breasts? For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue he will speak to this people, to whom he said, this is the rest with which you may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing. Yet they would not hear. But the word of the Lord was to them, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and caught. Therefore hear the word of the Lord, you scornful men, who rule this people who are in Jerusalem, because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with Sheol we are in agreement. When the overflowing scourge passes through, it will not come to us, for we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood we have hidden ourselves.
Wow. I told you, Yahweh says in us are scornful men. Didn't they scorn Yahweh? They scorned him when he was going to heal the little girl. They followed him every day, all over, scorning him. And these are the ones who had the stammering lips and who just learning the word and teaching us. Now here's the part, I'm going to read it again myself, because I'm not hearing our leaders teach this part. This whole scripture is mistaught. It says that we are taught this way that they might fall and go backward and be broken and snared and caught. You are not supposed to learn this word line upon line, precept upon precept, with chapters and verses and all this kind of stuff. This was put in by your enemy. And to this day, I'm not great in finding scripture like that. Yahweh has put the Ruach on me to understand and connect the dots of this word the way it's supposed to be. Not line upon line, precept upon precept. You learn it that way because it was given to you that way, because those who learned it were too slow. And they had to slow it down for them. And then they chewed it up and masticated it and regurgitated it out to you. And you eating his spit up. You eating his slop. You eating his swill. You eating his diarrhea of the word. That's what you're eating. Learning it line upon line, precept upon precept. And when you get it, what does it say? This is not my words. It says that you may be broken, snared, and caught. So you're broken and snared and caught in misunderstanding. In this instance, I'm talking about the law. Choking on Shaul. Even Selah, who y'all call Peter, said it then, in real time, that you're choking on Shaul, on Peter. Peter said you're choking on Paul. So here we are now in July the 30th, 2023, the year of their Lord, still choking on him, thinking you're supposed to be keeping all these commandments. Because you're snared and caught, following scornful leaders. Scornful leaders teaching Yahweh's word to Hebrews. The tail leading the dog. The tail leading the dog. Who's in charge? Poor brother man here can't even get 60 followers. The broadcast itself is very popular for what I'm getting, but not on the YouTube channel, because the brother is teaching this word from Ruach HaKodesh. And it's not popular because y'all want to have a resume to fill up to get you into the kingdom. I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to speak to it. But Isaiah 33:19 talks about how we don't perceive these people. Matter of fact, I think I want to read it myself. I'm going to read it. Isaiah 33:19. Instead of just something like just one verse. I'm telling you, this is deep stuff here. I share and support and like this. You will not see a fierce people, a people of obscure speech, beyond perception, of a stammering tongue that you cannot understand. English. There was no such thing as English during the time of this so-called time of the Bible. This is a new people of a new tongue from a far land that just developed, coming out of the water, telling you what thus saith the Lord. And we are getting baptized in it and believing and hanging our every word on it, our lives on it. Souls are in the balance. This is a evil people that the prophet is prophesying about. An obscure speech beyond perception, he says. These are his words. They could not perceive this, and it is here today. And you're still not perceiving it. Did you see Daytona Tyrone? Chris, did you see they cloned Tyrone?
Oh, yeah, I did.
You saw it.
Yeah.
That's deep, man. We're going to talk about that offline. It's a good movie, and it's deep, and it's true.
Yeah.
Using our lifestyle against us. And where was the portal? At the bottom of the church.
The bottom of the church.
And under the church.
Under the church.
Esau giving you the church, and y'all top dancing, stomping, and paying tithes and lies. And I wasn't going to read this one. I'm going to do it. Jeremiah 5:15. I was not going to read it, but I'm going to do it. Jeremiah 5:15. I tell you, this is deep. Yes, I do want the greater numbers, but you just believe, just pray, fast, and believe in this word. Jeremiah 5:15. Did not plan on reading it, but I'm going to read it. It says, "Look, I will bring you a nation against you from afar, O house of Israel, says Yahweh. It is a mighty nation. It is an ancient nation, a nation without whose language you do not know, nor can you understand what they say." Can't understand what they say. This deviant language where you drive on a parkway and park on the driveway. Where you go to the stadium and you sit on the stands. Where something can center around a point. I mean, none of that stuff makes sense, but we say it every day. But we say it every day. Every day. A demonic, twisted, backward language. Hebrew starts from right to left. English, left to right. So I do want this one, my man, Chris. Matthew 16, 1 through 4. Chris, go and give me Matthew 16, 1 through 4. Yeah.
Then the Pharisees and Sadducees came, and testing him, asked that he would show them a sign from heaven.
When it is evening, you say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and threatening. Hypocrites, you know how to discern the face of the sky, but you cannot discern the signs of the times. A wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign shall be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah.
And he left them and departed.
Wow. Once again, this is who Yahushua was going up against during his entire ministry. Are these Edomites set up by the Romans, set up over top of us, and challenging Yahushua in every way. These are the same ones that challenged Moshe under Pharaoh. Yes, your big brother Esau were those who did the witchcraft under Pharaoh. These are the same ones, the same blood, the same line, the same peoples that gave Moshe the hard way to go doing the signs and the tricks under Pharaoh before we left Mizraim, which you call Egypt. And here they are today, being an irritant to us, being a stone in the shoe to us, all in a way challenging everything. The man just did 6 days in a row, 6 or 7 days in a row of miracles, raising people from the dead, causing blind to see, causing deaf to hear, feeding thousands of people. And y'all gonna say, show us a sign. Oh man, you know Yahushua is righteous. Because that was me or even you would have smacked the person. You just raised somebody from there and they say, well, show us a sign that you are who you are. And somebody is living who was just dead. Somebody who sees who was blind that you brought to him. You brought the deaf person to him. And he made the person hear. Well, we need a sign to prove who you are. You know you would have smacked him. I would have. I'd have smacked them. You know, you have the power to take that person's breath, you would take their breath. Here's your sign. Breathe again. Let me see you breathe again. Are you all right down there? Hello? Are you all right down there? You need another sign. HaOt, the sign. So what was the sign? He called them an evil and adulterous generation. And remember, Yahweh only is in bed with one. Adulterous means you in bed with multiples. And that's what they do. They in bed with all kinds of doctrine, mixing it up, labeling it up, and mixing it up. He said they're wicked and adulterous. And you're going to ask this brother for a sign, who all he did from the time he came public to that moment was did things you've never seen done before. You've never seen a few fish and loaves of bread feed thousands of people. Thousands of people. He out here walking on water, doing all kinds of stuff, and you tell him, we need a HaOt. We need HaOt. We need the sign. Well, here it is. I'm going to rise up after that third day. After y'all I lay my life to let y'all take my life, I'm going to allow you to do it. Because nothing limited can take what's unlimited. Nothing that has a beginning and end can put an end to something that's limitless. They didn't kill Yahushua. He allowed them to do what they did. And he says, after I allow you to destroy this temple, I'm going to come back in 3 days. Here is the history of that. Jonah, whom you know, who went to Nineveh after he came out of that fish the 3rd day. That's your only sign. Since you know about him, you know about the so-called Old Testament, you know what he did. He came out of that fish after 3 days in his belly. And Nineveh was converted. Nineveh, peoples who have no covenant with Yahweh. Yahweh did not know them. He said these people don't know their left from their right. That's what he said. At the end of the narrative, these people don't know anything. So he always had mercy on them because they converted. They did not convert and started every man got circumcised. They did not start only eating kosher. They did not do that. That's not what they did. They didn't even keep Sabbath. They didn't keep Shabbat. They just stopped treating each other wickedly. They put up righteous laws in court. That's what they did. They made just, the king made just laws and everybody went by it. They converted so much, even the animals were made to fast. Yet, this nation, us, our people who are blind, won't even follow Yahweh because we love to have wicked leaders over us. That's what the record says. That's what it says, that we have set wicked leaders over us, and we loved it that way. We let them lead us by the nose. We let them do it. I like Mark's narrative of this because it literally says in Mark, the leaven of the Pharisees and Herod. So again, let you know that this connects to the Edomites, because we know the record says Herod the Edomite. So it should be no misunderstanding of who Yahweh is going up against and of who is leading over Israel. Because in John 11, it says we don't want him to take away our nation. We don't want to lose our nation and our position. This nation position, this power they were given was given to them by Romans who came out of the water themselves. The devil's brood. So we see that there should be no misunderstanding of who Yahweh was going up against. Then it's the same foe, the same enemy that we are going up against today. The very same ones, these few, about 1,200 to 1,500 wicked men whom you do not see, who are hidden under the dungeons and crags and catacombs somewhere, running everything on top of the earth. Every war, every plague, every disease, everything. They're running it all. And they're running it all against Yahweh, chiefly via Yahweh's covenanted peoples, and everyone follows the lead. Oh, I'm telling you, that movie, They Clone Tyrone, does have a sincere message to it. Look at it. It's on Netflix. Y'all don't like reading the Bible. Y'all like looking at TV. Go ahead and do that. So we find here that in verses 5 through 8, that Yahweh said again that they didn't understand about the leaven. Their minds automatically went horizontal on the earth, that Yahweh meant that they forgot to bring bread. This is the 3rd time the disciples, the students of Yahweh at his feet, misunderstood the spiritual messages from the rabbi Yahweh. Feeding the 5,000, they were supposed to do that. Yahweh had to do it, showing that he's the bread of life to the covenanted peoples. Feeding the 4,000, they were supposed to do that, but he had to once again do it himself, showing that he is the bread to the world. Now here he is saying, beware the leaven of the Pharisees, and they again still didn't get it. Even after the feeding the 4,000, he explained to them, you're not getting it. I am the bread of life. Because later on, he's going to tell them, eat my flesh and eat and drink my blood. What are you going to do then? You're going to run, you're not getting that I am the bread of life? That you must have access to Yahweh through me. You must partake of me. Eat my words. Read my lips, eat my words. I'm showing you. I'm living the example. I'm demonstrating the example. And you're still not getting it. So they lost the lesson, the opportunity. And then in verses 9 to 12, finally says, okay, they understood. But did they really learn? No. Because even at the ascension, they still thought Yahushua was going to take over Roman rule here on earth at their time. At their time. They still was looking for the kingdom to be manifested in their time. So even though they say, yeah, they understand that the Pharisees' doctrine was full of leaven, they still did not understand. You see, here's the thing. Nowhere do we find that miracles actually converts the heart. Miracles do not convert the heart. If that was the case, then we would have believed in the desert. Every day we had a miracle of manna coming down from heaven. Every day we looked at our feet and we didn't need to go to Target and buy no shoes. Our clothes were still fresh. Every day we had water in the desert. This is daily miracles that we became numb to. We did not believe, and not one got in, including the lawgiver, except Yahushua and Caleb. That's it. Miracles do not convert the heart. If that was the case, the disciples would have gotten it themselves. They still didn't understand that this man was actually the bane of Yah, the son of Yah. He was the actual literal son from the side of Yahweh, from Hashemayim, walking among them, eating fish and bread, and drinking water, sleeping and walking and talking. They didn't get it. With all those miracles, the people didn't get it. Why didn't everybody just believe if it was about miracles? And I spend time on this because in the last day, the beast, Hasatan, the dragon, they're going to show you miracles, mainly from the sky. They're going to show signs and wonders. And many Hebrews are going to be deceived. Because you need a miracle. You need a sign to believe. Not realizing that the very receiving of the knowledge of Yahushua is a miracle in itself. If you need a sign or a miracle, then you are indeed one who's on life support when it comes to faith. Because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahweh. It does not come by seeing. Your sight is for deception. So the dragon is going to use your sight to deceive you. Mother Hawa in the Garden of Eden looked at the fruit, looked at what she saw, and she was deceived. She saw that it was good for food. So, since we have found ourselves who have a propensity to fall for signs and wonders, that's exactly what's going to be given to the world in the last day, when the whole world is deceived from signs and wonders. So, my man, now go ahead and pull up Mark 8:22 through 26. Mark 8:22 to 26.
Then he came to Bethsaida, and they brought a blind man to him, and begged him to touch him. So he took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands on him, he asked him if he saw anything. And he looked up.
I see men like trees walking.
Then he put his hands on his eyes again, and made him look up. And he was restored, and saw everyone clearly. Then he sent him away to his house.
Neither go into the town, nor tell anyone in the town.
Now Jesus.
There's a whole lot going on there, a whole lot I want to take the time to elucidate. Now, First of all, they went to Bethsaida. This is the house of fishermen. They went to this is happened at the house of fishermen. Yahweh is teaching his disciples to be fishers of men. So here we go now at the house of fishermen, and we see that this word they use is they. The Hebrew word is hama. Hama, if you look at it in the original Hebrew letters, it means to watch them. Whomever is being spoken of, be careful, be mindful of them, beware. Not once, but twice. So this is some deep stuff I'm teaching right here. You just see the word they, and you're not understanding the deepness. I'm going to give you a deeper spiritual understanding of the word they. Now today we say, hey, you know how they say, you know what they say. We use it generically, and we use the word they. Well, who is they in the Torah? They are the ones you need to watch out for. These are the ones, and not just watch out for once, but watch out for them twice. Really squint your eyes and discern who they are. The word is hama. Hama, they. Now, so you see right here that the narrative tells us that they begged him. This comes off the heels of the distractors, the scribes and Pharisees, saying, show us ha'ot, show us a sign. These are the same ones who now begged him to touch this man, okay? They wanted him to be healed. Now, Yahweh went to this town of Bethsaida, which is the house of fishermen, because this is the home of Philip, Andrew, and Peter, who are fishermen. So this gives them, this is their home, this is their turf. He's teaching them what they need to do, okay? So you can find that in John 1:44. This is the home of these three disciples. And then we got Hama. They. So what they want to see is they don't believe. They're going to try to force the hand of Yahweh to show them a sign. They got this this blind man, who they know was blind from birth, and who they know probably is something deeper going on that's not in the narrative about his family. There could be some kind of wicked history going on in his family, some idol worship going on, because we find that in this area was a strong area for idol worship. Okay, in this house of fishermen was a strong area of idol worship, and we got this blind man. I'm trying to connect these dots for you here. We got this blind man who was pushed forward to Yahweh by distractors of Yahweh, by people who don't believe, by the leadership who do not believe. The record says they, Hama. So they got these unbelievers. Remember when, was it in Matthew 9:25 when Yahweh healed? Oh no, he raised the dead girl. He comes into their house, and people are already mourning and crying, professional mourners and criers for the dead girl, supposed to be supporting the mother and father. Yahweh put them all out, because he said the girl was only sleeping, and they laughed at him and mocked him. Yeah, they, Hama, laughed and scorned and mocked the word of eternal life. Mocked him, because he said the girl was just sleeping, she wasn't dead. So whenever you're doing work for Yahweh, if you have anyone who don't believe in what you're laying down, anyone who don't believe in in the word of Yah, you need to get them away from you before you do your miracle, before you do your work, because Hasatan is in there to block it. He's in there to cast doubt, to dispel belief. He's there to water down the faith. You need to rid yourselves of the distractors and detractors. Rid yourself of those who don't believe. Get them out of the area of where you're doing your work or your ministry. Rebuke them. Rebuke them soundly and rebuke them strongly by the word. Rebuke them and get rid of them. And then do the work that you were called to do. Do the work that you were sent there to do. This is why you see the narrative says Yahweh told him, don't even, he led him by the hand, took him away from there. Just like he did with the girl he raised from the dead. Got the distractors out of the house before he raised her from the dead. In this narrative, he takes the man away from all of them, and he does indeed give him his sight. And this is a deep how he gives it. First of all, you see how Yahweh was intimate with this man and personable. He took his hand. He touched him. So he is being intimate with this man. He's being personal. He touched his hand and led him out. He led the blind man away out of the town of Bethsaida, which is the house of fishermen. This means something that Philip, Andrew, and Peter should have gotten. That they have to be fishers of men. And they have to take this word out, away. That is the epicenter of all the miracles. Take it out to the four corners of the earth. Take it away. And you have to be in this work. In this work. Yahweh led this man physically by the hand. Then we got another message in here. We see that he spits in the man's eyes. Now, does that sound gross? Not from someone who created all things. You know, this spitting is deep. I don't know if I really have a whole lot of time going into it, but one of the things that Dawid said is that Yahweh sent from above. He took from above. He with the blast of his nostrils, he came from above and protected me. What does blast from the nostrils mean? You ever been out, I don't know, be out in public, so say it maybe in the woods walking, and you sneeze, or you have a runny nose, and you don't have anything to blow your nose with. How do you get that out? You hold one nostril and blast. You can blast the other one out without even having to have a napkin. And you do the same thing with the other nostril. Hold it and blast it out. It comes from you. It is your genetic DNA, that phlegm. Well, Yahweh blast, and you ever hear the saying, he's the spitting image of his father. The spitting image. The spitting image. What is these sayings for? They mean something. That spit meant something. With the blast of his nostrils, Yahweh was a spitting image of his father. He's the spitting image of his father. He's here on the earth, and here he is, the very image of Yahweh, and he's going to spit in this man's eyes. Now, why is he healing him this way? Remember, this man has never seen before. So what he's going to see is going to be not like his boxed image of what he thinks the Messiah is supposed to look like. Remember, they think the anointed one, HaMashiach, is going to come down on earth and destroy Roman rule and set up his kingdom on earth. Obviously, this man believes the same thing. And now he's getting ready to have his eyes open and see someone who does not look like what he's envisioned him to be. What did we teach here of what Yahweh should look like? About 5'9", 135 to 50 pounds, 5'7" to 9, no taller than 5'10", probably about 5'7" to 9, 150 pounds, small, and albino, and with locks. Albino, and we know albinism is a sign of Yahweh starting something new. Noah was albino, Yusuf was albino, Lot was albino. And in each one of these peoples, there was something new being revealed to the world. And Yahweh, remember now, albino does not mean white. There's no such thing as albino Chinese or Japanese or Russians or Germans. No one in Switzerland is albino unless they got mixed with a brother or sister some kind of way. All albinism comes from melanin-rich genes. Remember that. So even though Yahweh was albino, he still was a Hebrew. The melanin-rich gene, the so-called black man and woman, can produce every last shade of quote-unquote color on the earth, and it has. From rich, dark black melon to very light pink melon. All comes from the Hebrew gene. Yahweh was a brother, but he was albino. Now he's getting ready to cause a man to see who has never seen before. In his eyes, he's got and Moshe, who was a brown brother, said that, that the prophet that's going to come, the prophet, is going to be from among you, from among your gene pool. He's going to be a brother like me. That's what Moshe said. One of the signs, actually the first sign I believe that Moshe gave, Yahweh said to him, put your hand in your bosom. He put his brown hand in his bosom, and he brought it out, and it was leprous white. But y'all didn't catch that sign, did you? You didn't catch that oath, that sign. And then he put his hand back in his bosom, and brought it back out, and it came back melon rich brown as it was before. Yahweh Shua, who came out, the greater Moses, came out albino. The lawgiver was brown. The greater Moses, Yahweh Shua, was albino. And this man's getting ready to see who this man is. And so what happens? He spits, because he is the spitting image of Yahweh, spit into his eyes. And what did he see? Men like trees. Wow. So he didn't see clearly. He didn't see clearly. And he saw, really, Yahweh Shua and the Malachim, the angels, in Hashemayim. So he's seeing Yahweh Shua and the angels in heaven. That's what he is seeing. He's seeing through the Rakia, through the dome, and up into heaven itself. Up into heaven itself, he sees the throne, and he sees the angels there among, and Yahweh Shua in the middle of them. So he says, sees them like trees. Remember, what does he know what a tree looks like? The man has never seen before. I submit Judges 6:11-22. There are many scriptures, but I'm not going to go there. Judges 6:11-22, where we see that Yahweh Shua presents himself to Gideon under the tabernacle tree. The tabernacle tree is a tree for obedience and revelation. Yahweh Shua is the tree, the tabernacle tree of obedience and revelation. Look at all the examples. You know, Abraham, Jacob, and the revelation they got at the tabernacle tree. And there's there's another one. Gideon was at the tabernacle tree. Yahweh Shua revealed himself to Gideon at the tabernacle tree. So the tabernacle tree is representative of Yahweh Shua in obedience and revelation. There's another Hebraism that is used, looking up. And looking up, throughout the record, it shows when someone is looking up, they're looking their eyes up. They're looking their eyes up and seeing a spiritual manifest. They're seeing spiritually what is physically manifested. Whenever you go through the Torah, through the Bible, you see about someone looking up, they are seeing something deeper. What is physically manifested now becomes revealed to them on a spiritual level. So this man, this blind man, Yahweh Shua had him look up again. When he looked up the second time, when he put his hands on his eyes, he saw clearly, the record says. That means the first time what he saw was fuzzy. It was blurred. It was not clear. He saw Yahweh Shua, but he didn't see him clearly. The second time, he saw him clearly. Again, using the parallelism here, using the parallelism from Moses to Yahweh Shua. Moshe is the unclear revelation of Yahweh. Yahweh Shua is the clear revelation of Yahweh. Moshe was brown brother, Yahweh Shua albino brother. Yahweh Shua, the understanding of the Torah, of the word of Yahweh, is understood more clearly in Yahweh Shua. The revelation of the covenant unfolds in him, and is not in keeping 600 plus commandments. It is loving Yahweh with all your heart, might, and soul, and loving your neighbor as yourself. Even Moshe said this. And what Yahweh Shua said is, do unto others as you have them do unto you. So he has quoted Moshe in his way. Moshe says, love Yahweh with all your heart, might, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. That is the true application of the law. Yahweh Shua came on, and we call it the golden rule, and says, do unto others as you have them do unto you. He gave you an example with the Good Samaritan. I hope I'm not speaking too fast for you to understand what I'm laying down here. Why did the narrative take time to tell you that Yahweh Shua spat in his eyes? That Yahweh Shua had him look up and he couldn't even see clearly. Then Yahweh Shua did it again. What mean? Yahweh Shua messed up? Mean Yahweh Shua made an error? He couldn't heal him the first time? He couldn't fix him the first time? He had to do it again? Or was he delivering a message that you may have missed? Was a message being sent that you missed? That Yahweh Shua had to do the same miracle twice to get the effect of it? No, he did not mess up. The first message is the covenant, you did not understand it fully. It was blurred. Even Shaul said, we look in the mirror dimly. You look in the mirror dimly. But now we see it more clearly after the resurrection of Yahweh Shua. That, oh, this is what he meant. This is what Isaiah and the prophets meant. That the Messiah actually was going to be bruised. He was actually going to have to die for us. And he resurrected after the third day, the only sign to prove he is who he said he was. Because other men had did the same miracles that Yahweh Shua did. Every miracle that Yahweh Shua did has been replicated, except one, the self-resurrection after the third day. And that's the only sign given to us to believe that he is who he said he was. So now, understanding more clearly what the reconciliation is. The reconciliation is through Yahweh Shua, where he's going to lay aside, eat his flesh and drink his blood. It is not via Moshe. This is why the man saw more clearly. And what did Yahweh Shua say? Don't even go back to those unbelievers. Don't go back there. You're looking at the face of the man who healed you, who gave you sight. And now you see. What did the record say? Who is blind but my servant? Are you blind today? Are you not understanding what I'm giving you today? That the law you learned was blurry. Now today, in Yahweh Shua HaMashiach, are we supposed to see clearly and discern between the sheep and the goats? Both kosher, but one was damnable to hell, the goats, keeping the law, and one went to the right for eternal life. Keeping the law, but keeping it as good Samaritans, doing to others as they would have them do it themselves. They didn't even know they were doing great works. So we're going to continue with this next week, Yahweh willing. Until then, Yehonathan Week here. Please support, share, and like the YouTube channel. This will be video number 292. When I get it downloaded later this evening, please look on it, look for it. Let's get those numbers up and share and like. Shalom Elohim, peace be on you.
Truly dies.
Oh, sorry.
Baby, make a speech, Star Wars fly, neighbors should shine on. But if the night falls and a bomb falls, everybody see the dawn. Time.